I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video.
Looks like we've blown a tire. The roads are pretty bad. So we're gonna change the tire. Hopefully this one's got enough tread on it to get us to the next gas station. So doesn't look like there's any traffic along here. I'll just have a look what's in the neighborhood. And yeah, not much going on here.
So after a lot of traveling on really horrible roads and a flat tire, we finally made it to Deadvlei, and we managed to score a lodge that was behind the gates. To get into this area, you have to go through a couple of gates, and they don't open, well, they open reasonably early, but you really have to rush if you want to get here by sunrise. So we splurged and got a lodge on the other side of the gate, so we could leave any time we want, pretty much. And we got here first thing, and there was fog in here. It was just beautiful. So I didn't do any vlogging. I was just too involved in trying to get shots. It's a little bit overwhelming. So I've been trying to remind myself, just find one or two compositions and just work on those until you get something that you really like, and then move on to something else, because there's just so much going on around us, and the light is changing constantly. And of course, never having been here, you just want to photograph everything. So the fog is finally pretty much lifted, but there's lots of clouds, and so we're getting some nice light on the dunes behind the dead trees here. So we'll just keep going until the light just doesn't work anymore. Deadvlei is an incredible location. To say that it's surreal is an understatement. Massive dunes surround this area with the largest known as Big Daddy. And Big Daddy is quite a famous climb for sunrise seekers. Now, I'm not going to lie, over the years I've seen dozens and dozens of images from Deadvlei, and as much as I enjoy the stark nature and contrast of these 900-year-old skeleton trees surrounded by beautiful red dunes, the location had never really been on my radar as a place that I wanted to visit and photograph. And as wonderful as the photography is at this location, I found it extremely difficult to produce something that was unique to me. And another factor that played into this is that my photography in general tends to be more literal and less of the abstract. So this kind of added to my inability to find unique views of these well-documented trees. Now, having said all this, I was immensely grateful to visit Deadvlei, as it is just an excellent spot to see, and of course I would return in a heartbeat. It's just an absolutely incredible, surreal area. Unfortunately, Karen and I didn't give ourselves a lot of time in Sossusvlei, so like many photographers who travel to new locations, we lacked the time to really explore these areas. Our visit to Namibia was just a taste of what the country had to offer, and of course I want to go back and explore more of this incredible part of the world. This image is one of my favorite compositions from Deadvlei, as I could zero in on a pleasing combination of trunks and branches from one of the larger trees in the area and use those to frame an individual tree in the background. Now, I did have to focus stack this scene, as the longer focal length lens that I was using wouldn't allow me to get everything from front to back in sharp focus. One of the things that I always try to accomplish in my work is finding different ways to compose scenes so that the foreground has somewhat of a relationship with the background. It also helped in this image that the dune in the background was relatively clear of footprints and shrubs. Shooting towards the opposite dune behind me proved to be quite a bit more challenging, as that dune had more things growing out of it that would end up conflicting with the foreground elements. Ultimately, these elements would interfere with the simplification of a composition. I want to take this opportunity to thank Squarespace for continuing to support my channel and sponsoring this week's video. My favorite feature of my Squarespace website is the ability to quickly and efficiently update a gallery or page from my desktop computer or on the fly using the Squarespace app from my smartphone. Loading multiple images onto a page is quick and allows changing a page or design quickly and elegantly without any coding knowledge. Sound interesting? Why not head on over to squarespace.com and try it for free? If you like the platform, use the code AdamGibbs for 10% off your first purchase. Well, good morning everybody. Welcome to another morning in Namibia. So, Karen and I have been getting up at pretty early, about 5 o'clock. The thing about getting into some of the photographic areas, especially in the dunes, is that you have to go through a couple of gates, and most of the lodges and campsites are behind the gates, so you have to line up and they'll only let you in at a certain time. I think it's half an hour before sunrise. If you want to try and get in to the end of the valley before sunrise, then you have to stay on the other side of the gate, and of course the lodges and any other accommodation are more expensive. And for sunset it's the same thing. They close the gates at I think it's 8 p.m. I'm not sure. So you're in a bit of a dilemma, and to drive down to where these dunes are, it's a good 60 kilometers. So it's logistically it's a little bit of a I wouldn't say a problem, but it's hard to get to where you want to be before the sun rises. And of course, with the weather as it is, you definitely want to be there at an area at sunrise or sunset, because that's definitely the best light, and it doesn't last that long, so you have to be pretty much prepared. Yesterday we really lucked out because we had the fog. It was nice because it enabled me to take my time and photograph in an area that I hadn't really photographed before, and I came away with a couple of images that I really like, so that was a good thing. We went back last night. We didn't have as much time, and to be honest with you, we had the whole place to ourselves. So this is Deadvlei, but I don't know. I preferred the morning vibe, if you want to call it, or the morning light. But perhaps it was just the mood I was in, because it is a long drive just to go to one area. Now this morning we've come down the road again. We followed a line of cars. We left a little bit later, but we've stopped off at marker 40. There's a dune here called Dune 40, and then there's another one at 45, I believe. And I thought I'd try and explore and try and do something a little bit different than just the dead trees. And I found this tree here, absolutely stunning, has a beautiful shape to it, and it's right in front of this dune. So I've set up with the 35 to 70, and I'm doing a really long pano. So it's very simple. You just have this beautiful tree that's kind of half dead and the red sand behind it. The sun is just coming over now, so I'm going to take some shots without the sun and with the sun. This is great. You can see it has a beautiful shadow. Let's see if I can show you this way. Beautiful shadow. So what I've tried to do is have it so that it includes the shadow and the main subject. Beautiful. This is really interesting. I really love the shadow of this little tree cast on the sand dune here, and then we have this hard pan. I don't know what you call it. It's kind of where I guess it's got wet over the years, or where it's from winds. Hard pan sand. So you get these sand patterns, and then we got the big dunes in the background. So I've really simplified it. Just got the shadow, a bit of the patterns on the floor here, and then the big dune in the background. Yeah, it's kind of a neat composition. And then I think I'll also take some of the just the sand patterns on the bottom here, and the red sand, because that's really beautiful as well. What a glorious morning. It's quite chilly actually. During the day it gets quite warm. It's 38, 39 degrees Celsius, but in the morning it's really pleasant. So I've noticed a lone tree. There seems to be a lot of lone trees here, which is nice. They're isolated, and then there's some shadows coming off the dune. So I'm just trying to line up that shadow with the tree. Now I have to decide whether I want the top of the tree above the dune or below it. If you want it below it, then I'm gonna have to walk back. If I want to get closer to the tree, make it more prominent, then I have to go forward, and I think I'm gonna go forward, give that a go. All right, so I've walked up to the tree, and I think it looks better from back where we were. The tree is just too dominant, and if I put a wide angle on this, then the dunes are just going to look way too small. So I'm going to back up, use a longer lens, and make this tree less dominant in the frame. Well, for all my fussing, this shot didn't really work out, as I'm not too fond of the top of the tree touching the edge of the dune in the background. So to eliminate this, what I probably should have done is moved back even further and used a longer focal length. Or possibly stand on the roof of my rental car so that I'm looking down on the scene rather than up. Although this might not have worked because my distance was already quite far from the tree, so I'm not sure if looking down slightly from that distance would really help. Oh well, next time I visit I'll have to try again. Thanks folks for watching this video and following along on my trip to Namibia. I really appreciate the thumbs up and the comments from each of you. If you'd like to support my channel in other ways, please head on over to my Patreon page, where I showcase some of my behind the scenes videos and images from my latest excursions. If you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. Stay tuned for my next video, where I backpack into the Drakensberg and tackle the monumental landscapes from that region. Until then, bye bye.